Hey, it's Dan from SpareTireRunning.com. Boy, do I hate when I have to miss a workout. And this last couple days have been nothing but not frantic, but a lot of stuff going on. I actually was out of town, and yesterday, my flight was supposed to leave from Missouri at 3 o'clock. At 3 a.m., I get an alert on my phone that my flight was canceled. Go in, try to figure out, okay, how can I change this flight? Well, the only flight that I could see that they were giving me option for was one for 6 o'clock and one for 8 o'clock, which meant coming in really late to Detroit. Not a problem. Get there. I'll be home. So I kind of canceled some of my meetings, or left a little bit early from my meeting to get to the airport so I can see, well, maybe I can fly standby and get something sooner, because everything else was, it says unavailable. So checking in, my flight, my 6 o'clock flight that I changed from 3 o'clock was already delayed, which meant my connection flight I was going to miss. So it's like, well, you can't really do that, because then you would be stuck in this other city. So I'm like, well, whatever works. I just want to be home tonight. So the lady's like looking on it, well, can't do that because this flight is delayed, or this flight's canceled, and they're not going to make the connection and so forth. And then I'm like, I don't care even if I had to fly to LA to get back to Detroit. Whatever it needs to be to get me home. So they found a flight that went to Phoenix. So I went from Missouri to Phoenix, and then Phoenix to Detroit. So once I got to Phoenix, of course that plane was delayed, but only by 25 minutes. And then I took the long 4-hour flight from Phoenix to Detroit. Luckily, the flight from Missouri to Phoenix wasn't that long, because it was a full flight, booked up. And some people need to learn how to put their luggage in the overhead compartments. I'm telling you, if you have a low carry-on suitcase, that's fine. Put it in wheels first, straight back, so it's nice and tight. I had people putting it sideways, so it's taking up tons of room, but you can't put something in front of it because there's not enough. And if it doesn't fit in that way, then it's too big. Chuck it. I've seen people with 3 or 4 bags, even though they say you only can have 2, or carry like something small that you can put underneath your feet, and then something larger to the overhead. So the plane is full. By the time I got, because of all this changing, I was flying Southwest. How they do is there's no assigned seating, it's all open seating. You have a letter and a number depending on that. They like A1 to go first, then they go through A to A60, then B1 to B60, then C1 to C60. What was I? That flight I was C45-ish or something like that. One of the last people on the plane. There was two other people behind me to get on the plane. So, of course, the only seats that are available are the middle seats, because that's how, since it's open seating, and everybody picks the window seat or the aisle seat first, which is okay, not a problem. It's an hour flight. I can deal with that. But because people couldn't put their stuff in the overhead bin, I had to put my suitcase underneath my seat. I didn't think it was going to fit, and I was afraid they're going to say I had to check it, and because of connection flight, and because I didn't have any other bag. That was it. That was the only thing I brought with me. I was very, didn't want to do that. So I got it in there, but it was such a tight, I couldn't really move my legs at all, my feet. They had to stay in a certain position, and then you have, I had 2 people next to me, so I was kind of sandwiched in there. Excuse me. And then, well, luckily it was only an hour flight. If it was the 4-hour flight and I had to sit like that for the whole 4 hours, I would have been miserable. Because it was about an hour or so, my knees were locked up, my knees were aching, my legs were aching, and so forth. Luckily for my flight from Phoenix to Detroit, it was still packed, but not as packed. And even though I was still one of the last people onto the plane, I got a seat in the last row aisle. Like there was a person in the window, but nobody in the middle. So it made it a little bit easier. The only problem with that was last row, bathrooms right next to you. Not that it smelled or anything like that, but you had all these people walking by. And because of the safety issues with the flights, you were not allowed to form a line in the front of the plane, but you could form one in the back of the plane, which I don't understand that. But so you're kind of like trying to sit there and maybe watch. I was trying to watch some movies, relax and stuff, and you got these people just kind of hovering over you, kind of looking over your shoulder. And that's one of my pet peeves, is even when my boys do it, it's like, back off, back away from me, give me my space. So you had that, and then because being a big guy, and I think even if I was not a big guy, I would still have this issue, being in the aisle, every time somebody walked by, they bumped you, they rubbed against your arm and stuff. So it was like a constantly knock, and someone wouldn't even say sorry. It's like, you just came and hit me. Walk sideways through an aisle, so you don't try to hit people. But it was ridiculous. And there was a few times I was trying to close my eyes to rest a little bit, because I've been up since 3 a.m. and then this was, going towards, well, it was, got into Detroit at 9 o'clock Phoenix time. So a little bit before that. It was right before midnight. So I mean, I was tired. I was exhausted from 2 long days, because Thursday I had to get up at 3 to get my flight to Missouri, which I had a beautiful time. I had both flights. I had connecting flights. I had a whole row to myself. It was wonderful. Nobody was there. It was just perfect. And then obviously this was not perfect. And sometimes that's how racing is. Sometimes when you run, you have a perfect race. And sometimes when you run, you have those places where people are bumping into you, they're cutting you off. You just can't get it together, or you're tired. And with both of them, you have to thrive through it. You have to just keep on pushing and keep on moving. And with that, every step counts.